Hola.
¿Y princesa dónde está?
No ha venido.
No ha venido. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Todo bien?
Bien.
Oh man. Nothing gets better than a soda, water, lime. Straight from the source. So the other day, there's a founder that I'm working with right now who's also a close friend, and their business is doing about 100K a month. And it's funny because he texted me one night, just defeated. He's like, man, what is going on? This closer that we hired is talking to prospects in a really negative way. And he sent me this text. It's late at night. I get the text. I'm like, I'm about to go to bed. And he's like, man, this closer is just talking about, like, fuck this prospect. I spent an hour on the phone with them. Like, F this, F that. He's an a-hole, dumbass, whatever. Like, all these things. And he was literally just like, man, you know,
Stretch my hands to you.
8.3 strain. Nothing crazy for a workout. It's only been like an hour. Nothing crazy. We're about to pump it up even more. That's how we do it. Let's get it. Just ran up a hill. Wasn't even that bad. All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Action. So in this video, I just want to talk about something that has been showing up in my life a lot and something that I've been working on for so long, and that is leadership skills. Now, why are leadership skills important? How does it apply to the CEOs and the founders out there? And how does it apply to the people that are working at these companies that are working their way up to get to that point? I brought that closer on personally, and I had trained him, and it was just this whole thing. And I got a text one night, and the closer has been taking sales calls. You know, he's been putting in the work. And I got a text from the founder, and he's like, yo, Eli, why is the closer talking about the leads like this? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm confused. I'm about to go to bed. It's like 9 p.m. I do not like working that late at night. And I'm sitting there in my bed, and I'm reading this voice note, and the founder's literally like, Eli, like, man, like, this closer, like, he's talking about the prospect in a really bad way. He's calling them a dumbass, like, not on the call, but just as he's texting the founder, like, hey, I spent an hour on the call with this lead, and they didn't buy. He's like, man, this B word, a-hole, whatever he said, doesn't matter what he said. But he was just treating the prospect a certain way after the call. And so the founder is literally texting me this, and I'm sitting there in bed, and the founder in the voice note, you could just hear it. He's like, Eli, I don't know if this is our guy. I don't know if he's going to be a good fit. I don't know if he can grow with us. And mind you, it's been like probably a couple days. And so if you know how much effort goes into bringing on a closer, if you know how much it takes to hire someone, ramp someone up, put time into them, get them sold on the vision, just to be like, oh, this one small thing means they're gone. In my mind, I just had to laugh. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, this guy, like, I was like, my buddy, the founder, I was like, he just doesn't know any better. And funny enough, the lesson that I went on to teach him is the same lesson that we ended up teaching the closer. So what I'm getting at is, like, common knowledge to us is not common knowledge to other people. And I had to tell the founder, I was like, man, like, it is on us as leaders. It just comes with the territory and the responsibility. It's us on as leaders in the leadership team to go to the team like this closer. And I was like, John, like, you have to use this as an opportunity, not to blame him, not to shame him, not to be like, hey, man, this guy sucks and he's horrible, because that's where the mind immediately wants to go. But we actually have to be like, hey, let's give this closer the benefit of the doubt. I was like, let's actually hear him out for a second, because he just might have not known any better. Like, no one actually spent the time and told him that you don't talk to leads like this. And it was just this interesting moment where literally the founder was off the deep end, like, just ready to just, like, fire this guy. And I'm sitting there literally cracking up from my perspective. I was like, man, I've been here so many times. I was like, this is a simple thing. We just got to teach the closer how to not talk to leads like that. And it just goes back to this thing of, like, common knowledge to us is not common knowledge to other people. And sometimes people just don't know. That's why whenever, even if I'm talking to a friend or a colleague or an employee or a team member and they're responding a certain way about something, I can't immediately get frustrated and be like, nah, like, that's not right. That's wrong. Or, you know, that's just not how it should go. I always have to catch myself and be like, wait a second, like, does this person know any better? Because if they don't know any better and no one has taken the time, then it's on us to not rob them the gift of letting them go through life like the same. Like, we have to actually summon the best to be like, hey, you know what? Like, let's actually be the one that pivots their mindset, that changes their perspective so that they can go walk through life way better. And that's the responsibility of leaders. And if you're a sales rep and you're coming up in an organization, that's some of the things you have to start thinking of, because you might be working with people alongside you. You might even have a setter under you if you're a closer, or you might be trying to work your way up. And if you want to be a leader in the future, then these are the lessons that you're going to have to learn. So I was a closer for years. I closed one time for a coaching program for literally a year straight on the same offer. And I remember we used to talk to prospects, like I wouldn't talk to them like this. I would never say to their face like, oh, you F word or dumbass, whatever. Like I would never say that. But after the sales call, when I closed them down, guess what? I would jump up and down and be like, yo, I just rinsed that guy, or I got his ass, or like fuck yeah, man. Like we just got another sale, ring the bell. Like I was just looking at it as like a number. And it wasn't until after like a year of signing up some of those people where I actually realized that there were real transformations happening from me signing those individuals up. And sometimes those transformations would ripple into other areas, meaning people would come back and eventually pay me for one-on-one coaching, or just because of how they treated them in a really good way, like they would actually come back and be like, hey man, like I just really loved the call. Like, thank you so much. Now, in the moment, I wouldn't call them that on the call, but guess what? If you're a closer right now and you're talking to your prospects like, hey, let's get this guy, or hey, that guy's just an idiot, or like, no, he's brokey. That's a big one that I hear all the time. You cannot address your prospects like that, because if you silently think, on each call that you have prospects that show up like that, even if they maybe aren't in the best position financially, it's on us to serve them at the highest level. Like, you can't, imagine if you were in their shoes. Like, would you want someone pointing at you and being like, hey man, you freaking brokey, DQ, unqualified, I'm going to rinse you, I'm going to sell you, like, I got you. I was like, no, like, you wouldn't want that. So don't do it to them. Be the prospect that you want to attract. And so I say that because, I think for a lot of people in the industry, they have to transform their mindset just around how they view prospects. And you really have to have this energy of like, okay, how can I serve at the highest level? How can I summon the patience? How can I be the prospect's biggest fan? And how can I avoid getting bad lead PTSD? Because what sometimes happens is you'll go on a tangent of like a couple calls back to back. They're all maybe not the most qualified. And then guess what? Then your brain starts looking for the next unqualified lead. And you're just like, yeah, like this one's another terrible one, right? And you start silently quitting on the calls. When in reality, you're just not making the immediate decision to reframe the mindset to be like, hey, I actually am going to look at this call like a new person. I'm not going to let the previous calls bleed into this one. And so for closers, for founders, for leaders, I mean, you serving at the highest level, not only to your prospects, but also to your team, directly impacts how much money you make and the kind of people you attract. Because guess what? Your self-talk is a homing beacon for other people. You're going to attract things if your self-talk is a certain way. Meaning if I always tell myself, I'm not good enough, I suck, I'm broke, I'm not this, I'm not that, then guess what? You're going to attract people in pain because you're giving yourself pain. You're literally inflicting pain. But guess what? Healed people heal people. People in pain give pain. And whenever you're feeling the most helpless in life, just go help others. And right now, if you're maybe not closing at the highest level, you're maybe not attracting that new team member, right? Then look at your standards. Look at what you're tolerating in your life right now. Look at the self-talk and the habits and all the things that you're doing that are leading you to attract the kind of people in your life. Because I promise you, it's deeper than just a sentence and you saying, oh, F that prospect, or oh, they're a B word, right? Because they didn't buy. Like it's deeper than that. You really have to manage that self-talk. You really have to manage that internal dialogue, because it'll be a guiding compass for what you then go attract. And so if this could just help one person out there that's watching this that could just take note of some of the things there, man, I would just be so happy. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a like, comment your favorite takeaway, comment the one thing that you feel like you want to apply and put more into practice. And I'll see you in the next video.